This is the Daily Dirty.
The Daily Dirty. Breaking pop culture news, influencer drama, and everything in between.
Daily Dirty.
On Unwell On Air.
Welcome to the Daily Dirty. I'm Sequoia Holmes.
I'm Fiona Shay.
And I'm Jazzmyne Jay.
Jazzmyne, I'm so excited that you're here.
Me too. I'm so excited.
So Jazzmyne and I know each other from BuzzFeed.
Yeah.
We worked together years ago at this point.
Mm-hmm.
When did you leave BuzzFeed?
Around like between 2018, 2019, something like that.
I left 2019. So
Okay, yes.
we left around the same time.
Yeah.
And then did you start creating content while you were at BuzzFeed or after?
Yeah, I kind of started while I was making, working my job and working on my own self. And then after that, I kind of broke off into my own stuff. Yeah.
And Jazzmyne's content, for those of you who might not know, really runs the gambit. Like, Jazzmyne talks about whatever the hell Jazzmyne wants to talk about.
It's true.
I love that because that's
feral.
the type of creator that I want to be as well.
Yeah, I feel you. You are, though.
Thank you.
You are. I enjoy your content a lot because it's you and it's all around. It's all
organic.
over. I love it.
The brand is just Jazzmyne. The brand is just Sequoia.
Mm-hmm.
Quite literally, when I was trying to explain what Jazzmyne does for this purpose, I was like, well, Jazzmyne just Jazzmyne's Jazzmyne.
I'd be there.
And people like Jazzmyne.
Yeah.
And so where did you get your start, Jazzmyne? I know lately you've been doing kind of documenting your running journey.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about mental health and things that really are just on your mind at the moment. Did you start on a specific platform, and how did you kind of grow your community?
Yeah, to be honest, I started off at BuzzFeed.
Okay.
I was not even looking to do content creation.
Okay.
I knew of BuzzFeed a little bit, but I wasn't even going in there like I'm a super fan.
Whoa.
Yeah. Were you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Not like a super fan, but I had been manifesting wanting to work at BuzzFeed for like 2 years.
that.
I had been like thinking about it,
Oh,
going to bed,
really?
being like, I want to do this. I
Go
wanna do this, I wanna do
figure.
this.
You
And I
be
did.
doing the shit you want to do.
Thank you.
So I love that.
The manifestation do be working. I love it. Every now and
Yes.
again.
I love that. But yeah, I went in not knowing shit about shit, to be honest. And I went actually and saw like a woman who like read my cards and stuff like that. Her name's Sasha. I worked with her at Sephora. She's amazing. And she was like, whether it was her or her just being a savvy businesswoman, she was like, girl, you need to start branding yourself.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, brand you. When you're in videos at BuzzFeed, what do you want people to see? How do you want to like show yourself? And then take that to your platform on Instagram. And
Wow. So you were actually I know you were a producer at BuzzFeed, but you were also on camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I wasn't, there was like this big rule when you were an intern that you couldn't be in videos because they were like, we don't want you to be too thirsty. We don't want you to act like you want to be in videos.
Even though that's what I'm here for.
Right.
Like, what the hell?
Okay.
Exactly. So I wasn't in videos for a while.
Understood.
And then I started making content about like being plus size, and there were only like a few of us in office, so it was like, okay, I had to be in the content now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Makes a lot of
cool.
sense.
And then did you kind of like just like being vulnerable and talking about things that were meaningful to you? Or then how did you translate that to being like, okay, I'm going to grow my own Instagram?
Great question for you.
Yes, I did like it, but I was very much like a newbie.
Okay.
Like not really familiar with when you open yourself up, that
Right.
that's giving people what they think permission to like be heinous towards you.
Yeah.
So I was there on my side, being vulnerable, talking about like wearing a bikini to the beach or like how I grew up or any of journeys that I had. And that's where it kind of stopped for me until it went out online and, you read comments, you see articles, people are throwing shit in your DMs. And I was just like, oh, I didn't put these two together, so it was hard, but I managed through it and I kept on just like, being me, kind of authentically. I made sure whatever I talked about, whether it was like a brand deal or what I wanted to talk about, is something that like I truly back this up. I
Right.
truly use this thing. I'm not a good actor. I cannot. I suck with a script. I really do suck. So,
Me too. I feel that.
right?
Yeah.
I'm just not good. I get all like nervous and stuff. So anything that I'm saying out there is just like what I think.
I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it does come across in your
Good.
content. I'm like, no, this is real. This is absolutely who Jazzmyne is.
The
Good.
And now
authenticity.
Jazzmyne is moving to Chicago.
Yeah. I wanted to ask about, you've been in LA for 11 years.
Yeah.
So what's it been like living here, making content, being a creative? I know you went to fashion school. And why is that chapter feeling like, okay, I'm ready to end it and move on to
Yeah.
Chicago?
LA has been beautiful. LA, I think I have. I can't get emotional. I probably could. It's
You can get emotional on TDD.
Yeah.
I have just like I never knew I could be the person that I am now. And learning through so many just people like Sequoia, I'm not even gonna lie, you, like Deja from BuzzFeed,
Yeah.
Quinta, like seeing just really amazing like Black women around me.
Yeah.
And knowing how I can show up for myself and for my community has been, I always had, I think, like the heart to do so, but
Yeah.
I never knew how. And it
Right.
was hard for me to understand myself. And this has just opened me up in just so many ways that I never could have imagined, like literally. Never.
This is why I always say, if you have the means to and you can swing it, leave your hometown.
Oh, yeah.
You don't
Yep.
know your full potential. You don't know what you're capable of doing if you are around folks who are not reaching their full potential.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, leave your hometown if you can.
Yeah.
Everybody can,
Yeah.
but if you can, do it.
And that's what I love about women is that we're so open to sharing information and
Yup.
inspiration with each other, that really surrounding yourself with other girls who are like you, other people who are like you,
Yeah.
and kind of have that same heart and drive, then elevates you to the next level.
Yeah. You're only weird in your hometown. You know,
Yeah,
like,
truly.
you're not weird when you come somewhere
Great
like New York or
point.
LA. You're
It's
pretty
so
fucking regular.
True.
Yeah, you're not weird, and suddenly you're like, shit, I'm
You're
boring.
like, oh,
No.
shit, I
That
have
would make
friends.
a great T-shirt or a great hat. You're
You're
only weird in your hometown.
That
Love that.
Yeah.
Thank you. For
Yeah.
I really like that.
You really
should
do
make that a
need to
thing.
do that.
Low-key, I could do it. TDD could do it.
I
don't
know. Let's
We
get the
could do
merch going.
it. Yeah, it kind of smacks.
And you're originally from kind of outside of Chicago,
Yes,
right? So were
yes.
you feeling that I'm the only weird one here? I gotta go.
The laugh.
Yes. I think from a very young time, my parents put it in my head that I was different than the people around me, which, you know, is a lot of unpacking to do as an adult, having that pressure on me as a kid. But I understand where their hearts and minds were at because they fought a lot to be with each other and to have their families be okay or not okay with them being together. And they fought a lot to have me, honestly, as a kid. So I think I definitely knew from the beginning that like I am not the same here.
Interesting. Was that like a level of protection you think that they wanted to give you, of like, we're around a lot of white
Yes,
people,
yes.
you are not white, and you need to know that so that you don't get confused and get in a
Yep.
bad situation?
100%. And I think it was the fact, you know, my parents were two different races. I looked different. My hair is different than my friends.
Yeah.
Like my body, like I matured differently than my friends. Like it was on so many levels of them just making sure that I knew I was good the way that I was. And just because you're seeing everybody else the opposite of you doesn't mean that you're bad.
Right.
You know, or
That
you're
is
not
so
good enough.
important. I feel like lots of parents don't even think
I know.
to tell their kid that. So it's really impressive that they had the foresight
Yeah.
to think to tell you that.
Yeah, I'm very, very thankful
Yeah.
for putting that in my head.
It forces you to grow up, I imagine,
Yes.
really quickly,
Yes.
right? And
True.
start trying to see the world through this whole different lens,
Yeah.
which is great that you are empowered to do that. But also, I imagine by the time you're getting older, you're in
Yeah.
high school, adolescence, you're like, okay, I want to enter the world where I'm not the only one who looks
know.
like me.
I kind of describe it in therapy, a lot of like being prepared for like say you're preparing for like a boxing match
Mm-hmm.
and like your opponent never shows up, but you for so long are prepared to box,
Yes.
but nobody 100% ever like came and fucked shit up for you, you know?
Yeah.
So like they prepared me, and a lot of that did go into like my confidence and my leadership abilities.
Yeah.
But there's that like childhood self of me that's like, I don't know if she needed to be prepared all that much.
You're all like juiced up, ready to rage, like ready to knock
Waiting
someone out.
for
and it's-
someone
yeah.
to hurt me, offend my family.
Yeah.
And that's not always what happened.
Yeah.
Of course, in microaggressions, if I could
Of course.
understand those at the time, but not like as loud as you would see on TV.
Right.
And stuff, which I understand is a privilege, but then at the same time, like, I still went through being prepared for
Right.
this heinous thing that could happen.
Where-
Hypervigilance.
Yep.
Created a hypervigilance, a little bit of anxiety.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
OCD.
So then it's like-
let's get into it.
Right.
Some stuff.
Where do you redirect that energy
Yeah,
then?
yeah,
and that
exactly.
comes out as an adult.
In many different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
now
also kind of prepares you for the career that you did end up having.
Oh, very
where
true.
people were throwing shit in your
Yeah.
DMs and actually doing
Wow, I
wild shit that you would never
thought of that.
You would never think people would do that. Your parents prepared you, but they did it.
Yeah.
It wasn't even as bad as it got.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
that's such a great point, Sequoia. the DMs are where the boxing match is still
Very
taking place.
literally
Truly.
right where you fighting for your life type shit.
Truly.
Yes.
Literally.
And so now you're moving back to Chicago
Yeah.
this week.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Oh my gosh. I think it kind of set in this past Monday. So earlier this week. And I can't believe I'm doing it.
I know.
I've been talking about it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of settled in with me during COVID.
Okay.
You know, so many terrible things happened during that time, and just me wanting to be closer to my family in general. And yeah, now we're doing it. I really can't believe it. It's wild.
Wow. I can't
wild.
believe it either. I do remember you kind of like floating it for
Yeah,
a while, and
yeah.
I was like, Jasmine's not gonna move.
Yeah, I know.
And then you are fucking moving, and I don't know what's happening as soon
wild.
as it is.
I
But
know.
happy to have you here in the meantime. And also, y'all, the Daily Dirty is now on YouTube. Every Thursday you can watch an episode on our YouTube channel, Unwell On Air. That's Unwell On Air. Getting into today's stories, Sarah Jessica Parker speaks on the backlash her character, Carrie Bradshaw, has faced over the years. Disney Channel star Orlando Brown has made some interesting ... comments about his old co-star, Raven Simone. Plus, we share our FYPs for FYP Friday. But first, Keke Palmer has released her album, Just Keke.
Yes. So the album came out today on Friday. What do you guys think about Keke making a return to music? We know Keke as an actress. We know her as a podcast host. She had a actual little, what's it called, talk show called Just Keke back when she was a teenager.
Yeah.
She was recently in Issa Rae's film, One of Them Days, with SZA, which was a big success. And now she's getting back into music.
Yes. I'm really excited for her return to music.
Same.
Personally. Do you guys know the song Bottoms Up?
Girl.
Hello.
I was just going to say Bottoms Up is a
Bottoms
bop.
Up is an underrated banger.
To this day.
To this
To
day.
this day, I love that song.
I was
Smacks.
honestly hoping that that's what it would sound like.
Me too. I'm like, girl, what's the return gonna sound like? I mean, TBH, we only have 3 singles out as
True.
as we are talking right now. Only
Yeah.
3 singles. We don't know what the rest of it's gonna sound like.
Yeah.
And it could sound.
It's sounding a little bit more like Whitney Houston R&B, like going into like the
Ooh.
details of, at least from the singles,
Yeah.
you know, the previews that
Yes.
she's put out on Instagram.
Yes.
Where it's kind of like chronicling a night, right? You know how that one Whitney song where about like the bill? You
Yes.
know what I'm talking about?
Friday night, you and your friends
Yes.
went out to eat.
Yeah,
It's
it
not
sounds like-
right. Yes.
I think we have My Confession queued up. Let's play a little bit of it, and
Yeah.
then we can kind of get into what she's actually talking about.
Perf.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? You see this sonically, how it's kind of similar. And so Keke posted on her Instagram that she's like, this is my time to tell the story. She's being pretty transparent that this is about a situation she encountered in 2023 with the father of her child, where they seem to be going through a tumultuous period of their relationship. She even includes like screenshots of text messages and kind of images that paint the picture of when she went to Vegas to Usher's live show, was captured on video with Usher. As he does, he picks someone in the crowd to go up. Sequoia, you might know some of the details. And then her partner at the time, who she shares a child with, kind of freaked out on her.
Yeah, he shamed her for it on Twitter. He I don't remember the exact words that he said, but the sentiment was, you're a mom, you're dressed like that, you're letting this man put stuff in your mouth, like, you're a mom, you don't need to be doing, like, it was just ugly, controlling, a weird response. And it definitely set off alarm bells in a lot of people's heads. A lot of people were like, that feels like it could be an abuser.
Right. So that was the first like major red flag about him,
That was the first major red flag about him. We really didn't know much about him before that.
Okay.
Yes.
And then other things about this man, Keke's man, seem to come out online, right? Like more specific evidence that there was abuse in the relationship.
Then there was video evidence of them in Keke's home. I think she has like a camera system, a ring system.
Yeah.
And he throws her over the couch and like chokes her.
Hell no.
And then people were like, so yes, he absolutely is the exact abuser we thought he was in the first place.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
And for a little while, we weren't sure exactly what their relationship looked like in the past couple of years.
Right.
But on her podcast recently, Baby, It's Keke Palmer, she addressed that she's single.
She explicitly said she was single. And this is coming from years of Keke, like, kind of telling us to mind our business when it came to her relationship life.
Okay.
You know, like, she obviously was having a lot going on. She was a new mother. I'm sure postpartum, lots of stuff happening. She's like, leave me the hell alone, mind your business. And now she's outwardly telling us she's single, thank God.
Yeah.
Wow. So she's outwardly saying she's single. She's releasing an album. The visuals are really fun, right? Like, she looks amazing. Let's talk about what the kind of vibe that she's bringing to the screen.
The kind of vibe that I want to bring to every screen ever in the planet. Oh my God, I need the wig details.
Yeah.
I need the hair details stat.
The hair is really good. Didn't you do? It's kind of like an orangey red.
Yeah, girl.
Which
So
you have to
good.
You have to watch Keke's Instagram story to really understand the color. Didn't you do? Haven't you done that color wig before, Sequoia?
Sure have.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
You
And
eat it up every time, girl.
Thank you. And I'm about to re-up on it. I'm really about to
Are
go
you?
orangey
Yes.
based on Keke and
Yes.
SZA. I'm
It's
going
really
orangey-er.
compatible with
Yeah.
her skin tone, with
Yes,
your skin
thank
tone.
you.
Like, there's
Yeah.
something about it that is just so beautiful. She looks amazing. I always forget, like, I think it's so cool. In one of the promo videos, she's saying, I do all these things. I'm a multi-hyphenate. I'm an actress. I'm a singer. I'm a mom. And I kind of forgot, like, yeah, Keke is a mom on top of doing everything that she does.
I forget
and I
that
think
all
it
the
is
time.
so important to have women like Keke in the media, making fun music, looking hot, and
Yep.
reminding us, like, I can do it all. Being a mom doesn't need to be the only thing or the main thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a mom, like, I'm all these things. Oh, yes, and I'm a mom. Like, it doesn't always need to be listed first.
People swear you cannot have it all.
Yeah,
People love to tell women that they can't have it all. That once you have kids, you need to settle down and stop doing X, Y, and Z thing and behave differently. Baby, this is Keke Palmer. I've been Keke before I
Right.
was mom Keke.
Right.
Yeah.
And
This
not
is what
that
it is.
when I say it doesn't need to be first, it's like, of course, your child or children is your priority, but in terms of like Keke's identity, like, it doesn't need to be the first thing that you introduce yourself with. And that can always change. Like, I think Keke is cool in the way that it's like, well, right now I'm leading with singing and acting's on the back burner. But when she was in One of Them Days and it was, a blockbuster hit, okay, I'm leaning into the actor side of myself.
Wholeheartedly agree.
I like when we can let women flex their different muscles like that.
And she got him to
Yeah.
flex.
Oh, she does.
She's incredible.
Yeah. I'm glad that you are a fan of Keke re-entering her music era.
I'm so excited to hear what this sounds like. Based on what we heard from my confessions, sounds like it's going to have like a 90s, early 2000s vibe, very much the vibe that I love personally. I hope that she has a little bit of pop hits in there.
Yes.
A couple little pop hits, maybe some hip hop infused pop hits.
Her vocals sound amazing.
She always sounds fucking great.
Because I truly don't know if I'm as familiar with Keke's music besides like a bottom side.
Yeah.
That's
You know,
fair.
like
Yes.
I'm remembering her back to when we were teenagers, kind of Disney vibe when she was putting out music more.
Yes.
So I like this more mature sounding, these more mature sounding vocals from her.
Me too. She always like teases her vocals a little bit. Like
Yes.
last year when she kept doing that Wicked run at
Yes.
every interview, like she
Good
would just like
point.
do it real quick, and it was always like, why did you hit that so effortlessly?
Yep.
And why did it sound so good? Her vocals are so clear; they cut through. They're like high, and she just sounds really good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She
I think it
sounds
was
good.
during the One of Them Days press tour, right?
Yep.
When she was with Issa and SZA, she'd randomly just do it.
She did it on stage. Like she did it so many times. She
Did
was
she?
like, "Listen, bitch, I can sing, and you need to know that I can sing."
Yup.
Yeah, she's such a performer, like theater kid.
Yeah.
You know?
She's incredible.
Yeah, she really is.
I love her. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back to discuss Sarah Jessica Parker's recent comments on Carrie Bradshaw. Sarah Jessica Parker has made some comments about her iconic Sex and the City character, Carrie Bradshaw.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys watch Sex and the City. I'm a big SATC fan. I'm a Carrie. If we're going to go like identify with one of the four girls,
You're a Carrie.
I'm a Carrie. And so essentially to promote season 3 of the spinoff And Just Like That, which is kind of like a sequel to Sex and the City, Sarah Jessica Parker has done some interviews where specifically with Huffington Post UK, they asked her about how she feels about Carrie getting some criticism online, especially recently. I think that Carrie is painted as like cringy, kind of desperate, kind of boy obsessed, you know, kind of out of touch, maybe sometimes selfish, doesn't show up for her friends, but in all, Carrie's not a bad person, right? Carrie also has a lot of redeeming qualities. She's very creative. She's a writer. She's funny. She's interesting. She has amazing style. And Sarah Jessica Parker goes to bat for her character in that way of being like, yes, she's a flawed character, but I don't really understand or agree with the commentary online that Carrie is like, wow, this insufferable character. Because yes, she can be a little annoying, but can't most characters?
Most
like can't
people?
most people?
Yeah.
She's real. She's authentic. And that also speaks to this almost kind of turning point that we've been seeing maybe only in the past few months, where it started first as, I think, millennials or people who watch Sex and the City in real time kind of dragging Carrie and being always like, oh, she's the worst. Like, you only really watch Sex and the City if you understand that Carrie's the worst. And Gen Z is kind of entering the conversation a little late with this kind of rewatchable, you know, moment on social and saying, actually, I relate to Carrie because wait, I would text my situationship 10 times if he didn't answer me too. Like they're actually relating to the authenticity that Carrie brings to the screen.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting conversation.
I wish I could speak more about my legitimate thoughts. I don't watch Sex and the City, so I don't have a good read on SJP. I will say, or not SJP, Carrie Bradshaw.
Right.
I will say I feel like triggered anytime somebody's like, oh, she's not a good friend. I'm like, okay, so then the criticisms are accurate. You know?
Because not being a good friend and not being a girl's girl on a show centered around female friendship.
I'm like, you're not a good friend. It's one thing if you're just like, oh, I'm boy crazy and like whatever, but like I still show up for my girls, like I'm doing whatever. You are choosing Mr. Big over the girlies? Don't piss me off, Carrie. Please.
Jasmine, have you watched any Sex and the City?
Literally
Never?
Never.
Okay.
I have heard, like, the only thing I feel like I've ever heard about Sex and the City is that Carrie's the worst. But the only thing that I do have to say about this is that isn't there like a million seasons?
Yeah.
There's 6 seasons of Sex and the City.
Okay.
And
Maybe
like 6.5 because they do like an A and B.
Okay.
They have some movies, right?
Yeah.
There's a movie franchise. And now And Just Like That is them in their 50s
Yeah.
in real time. And we're on season 3 of that.
And every episode of Sex and the City, or every Yeah, it's like 25 episodes per season, right?
Yeah,
It's like
there's
shit
a
ton
lot of episodes.
That's what
It's
I'm
like it's like a
saying.
lot of episodes.
Follow me around for that many episodes. I'm sure you'll say I'm a bad person
Wow,
too.
facts.
Like that's a lot.
No,
There
that-
Point.
that's a story arc. That's how you build a character.
100%.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
And what I will say, as someone who has watched this series, I guess twice all the way through now,
Okay.
but also grew up on E when
Yeah.
they would show random episodes.
Yeah.
Like I was introduced to the series by watching episodes at random, and then actually started at season 1, ran through it twice. I think when people are talking about Carrie being a bad friend, quote unquote,
Yeah.
it's mostly conversationally when she's hanging out with the girls. A lot of times she can make the conversation about her or bring up her situation or want to
Okay.
talk about the same situation with Mr. Big, where they're like, girl, we told you
Yeah.
he has a new wife. Like, let it go. You know what I mean? Which, again, that's real. And there is that friend in the friend group and you still love her.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who are long-winded who tell long stories. And I say, girl, we got to wrap it up. We got to move on. We've
Right.
talked about this situation a few times. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean I don't love that friend.
Yeah.
No, that's so real. And if that is the extent of her being a quote unquote bad friend,
It really is.
then I really don't feel that big of a way about it. I thought she was
Yeah.
doing other stuff.
It's not necessarily that she's not spending time with her friends, that she's like saying, sure, I'll show up to the dinner reservation and then going to hang out with a new guy she's dating or Mr.
Right.
Big or whatever. It's not
Oh.
so much that.
Yeah.
I think that it's more so conversationally.
Oh, well, then who gives a damn?
Selfish.
Yeah, she doesn't deserve. And if that's the case, then I would also agree that she does not deserve the hate that she gives. And Sarah Jessica Parker even says she feels like there are male characters who
Yes.
literally kill people, the
Yeah.
Tony Sopranos of the world, you know, other people, and they don't get a quarter of the hate that Carrie Bradshaw
Yeah.
gets.
Yes. And I remember you were saying, Sequoia, that Issa Rae has even spoken about this in terms of Insecure, right? Like Issa
I thought
and Molly.
it was Issa,
Oh,
but
okay.
it was Quinta.
It was Quinta. Oh, about
Quinta
Abbott.
spoke
Okay.
about it about Abbott.
Okay.
And saying that Janine just gets all this criticism all the time, and she's like, why can't a female character be regular and flawed? Why are you guys so upset
Yeah.
that she is flawed and like regular?
I also don't see one damn flaw in Janine.
What's the flaw in Janine?
What do you have
Point
to
it
say
out.
about Janine?
Point it out. But I think Quinta was like mentioning wardrobe stuff, hair stuff, and that type of thing, but also
Okay.
the way that she behaves. Like it was kind
Yeah,
of all of it.
yeah.
And people just had so many thoughts about it.
Yeah, because I do
Like-
remember when I was at HBO, Molly, who's Issa D's best friend, would
Yes.
get a lot of hate, and people didn't like the character or like the direction. Do you kind
It
of
was
agree
me.
with that?
It was me.
Was it you
and
in
I
the-
was
was it you in the
retweeting
comments?
whatever you were
Hello?
saying.
It was me.
Well, I'm curious, like, what were the real criticisms? Because if it's a criticism about like the decisions that the character is making and the storyline, that feels different than what's going on with Sex and the City.
It was certainly a criticism of the way that Molly was as a human being. I hated her.
She was a hard to. Yeah.
She was really hard to watch.
Yeah.
For me, it was like every decision, I was like, you have to be joking.
Mm-hmm.
Every decision in every aspect of her life.
Okay.
From fucking relationship to friend to career. I was like, you
Interesting.
have to
Yeah.
be joking.
Yeah.
Like you
Just not
are getting
good.
on my nerves. Right. I'm like,
Oh, really? You
You're-
thought the same thing,
You're
Jazz?
not a good.
I wholeheartedly thought she just wasn't a good person.
Yeah.
Okay, so this does feel really different than
Yeah.
Carrie. Like that feels like, okay, when your audience thinks, I don't believe in you as a character, I don't trust you to make the
Yes.
right decisions, like
Yes.
that is not how I feel as a fan of Sex and the City.
And because it's kind of Carrie, from what I understand of her, seems like kind of in an endearing way that you know
Yes.
that she's going to fuck up,
Totally,
and then
she
she's
usually-
gonna
yeah.
sit and write her column and reflect
Have the
on it and
realization.
come to the realization, and that's gonna be that. I think about
Yes.
also Hannah Horvath. Is that her name from Girls?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, something similar where it's like your flaws are very surface level, not really that important, but they are irksome.
Yeah,
deeply
yeah.
irksome.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Absolutely.
itching. But at the end of the day, you're fine.
Did
you
either
know?
of you watch Girls on
I sure
HBO?
did, girl.
I still watch it.
to
Me
this
too.
day.
Literally.
One of
When
my
I need-
favorite shows of all time.
When I
Hello.
need something, it's the equivalent of me watching Naked and Afraid, being like, I am never gonna do this. That is never going to be me, and I'm just watching these little white girls trot around.
Yes, no,
That
quite literally.
ain't ever gonna be me.
Same. I'm like, wow.
Yep. Yep.
I love this.
Imagine.
I love them.
Yep.
I mean, I don't love them, but I love the show.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do you feel a level of distance when you're watching, like, because Sex and the City, of course, follows 4 white women in New York, so it's entertaining in a sense, but is it also like, okay, this would never be me, so you're not inserting yourself and being like, oh, I find relatability in this, it's more just like, this is pure entertainment?
I feel like that's how I would watch Sex in the City.
Right.
Yeah.
I imagine that's how I watch Sex in the City too. For girls, I did feel a little bit more like they felt reachable.
Right
It's a
there.
little bit more raw.
I'm like,
Okay.
I know those girls.
Okay,
Like
yes.
they are real human beings. I know every single one
True.
of those girls. The archetypes exist regardless of race.
Okay.
Those are girls.
And that is, I feel like the impact. Sex and the City and Girls do have 2 different impacts. They came at 2 different times.
Yeah.
I'm curious to have you watch a couple episodes of Sex and the City and see if you feel that same way. Like, I do know a Carrie, I do know a Charlotte, I do know a Samantha, I do know a Miranda.
I'm interested.
Or if those exist separately.
I'm gonna give Sex and the City another try. The last time I tried it, I was high when I was watching it, and for whatever reason, when I was high, it was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Okay.
But you know, shows are like that sometimes when
Yeah.
you're high. I'll be watching. Oh my god, I was
Girl, I
watching
watched
Love
Love Island the other night.
and I was like, this is dystopian. We're ruining these people's lives. This is not okay. I'm literally losing my brain. Literally, any other time I watch it, I'm fine though.
I had an edible on Sunday. My friend gave me one when we were at dinner, and then it like hit me when I got home, and I had an episode of Love Island to watch, and I'm watching it thinking like, we have this universe and Mother Nature, and this is the product.
This is what we decided. Right.
This is where we're at. Like,
Right.
we're fucked.
Right. So
Oh
I
my
need to
God.
try Sex and the City again when I am not high,
Okay.
and then I'll circle back.
Okay.
Speaking of nostalgic television, Orlando Brown from That's So Raven
Oy.
went off on Raven Simone and her wife. and I just have to put this out here right here.
Okay.
I love Raven Simone so deeply that like
You're wearing her on your
she's
shirt.
on my shirt as we speak right now. So Orlando should tread very fucking lightly with what he says.
And I mean, I think that Raven, as we know, treads very lightly back with Orlando
Yeah.
because
She says that she does.
We know that he's a little bit of a loose cannon. So for context, Orlando Brown played Eddie in That's So Raven. As we know, we all grew up loving That's So Raven. Eddie is Raven's best friend in the show.
Yes.
Since the show has been off TV, there have been a series of videos and interviews with Orlando Brown over the years that have let us know that he's not in the best state of mind.
Definitely.
And often goes on different rants talking publicly about Raven, sometimes not in the nicest way, sometimes revealing personal things about her, commenting on her
Yes.
life, her sexuality, etc. So again, for a little bit of context, Raven is married to a woman named Miranda Jay.
Yep.
They have been together for 5 years. They have a podcast together.
Yeah, they have a podcast together.
That they host together. And an interview surfaced with Raven and Miranda, I want to say a year and a half ago, where the interviewer was asking about their relationship. And Miranda, her wife, says, yeah, I didn't really know who Raven was when I met her. I never watched That's So Raven. To us, to people, to Ravens fans who were raised watching That's So Raven, Raven was huge, is huge. How the fuck do you not know who Raven Simone is? Since then, the couple has gotten a lot of criticism only because I think Ravens fans are like, you deserve someone who's maybe like respects your talent and fame a little bit more.
Lots of people have felt lots of ways about Miranda and Raven's relationship, sparked by that comment of Miranda saying that she didn't know who Raven was. People did not believe her. People thought that she was a clout chaser. People thought that she had manipulated Raven into being in a relationship with her.
Okay.
You know, all of this stuff. So those comments have remained consistent for the duration of their relationship, especially whenever they post anything public.
Literally.
Okay.
Now, cut to Orlando Brown, who has a Raven tattoo on his neck. Her face tattooed on his neck. Here is what Orlando had to say about Raven and his wife, her wife.
Man, why does she have to have that I can't say BITCA. What? Get rid of that chick, man. Get rid of that chick, man. What are you doing, Ray? Raven, get rid of that chick, man. Sis, get rid of her, bro. What are you doing?
See, and here's what happens when theater kids don't have the correct outlet. He needed to get on Broadway.
I know. We needed to have his next gig lined up after That's So Raven. Because did Orlando really do much after Raven?
I don't know
think
about
so.
after. I really don't know about after. He definitely was like a child actor. He was in a lot of television shows before That's So Raven. Not sure about after. I will say now he's on Zeus Network. He needs to get the fuck off Zeus Network.
I didn't know
as
that.
soon as humanly possible.
What is Zeus Network?
Do you know the show Baddies?
Not Bad Girls
It's
Club.
It's the offshoot of Bad Girls Club.
It's an offshoot. Okay, no.
That exists on a network called Zeus Network.
Okay.
He doesn't need to be on there. I think he's on Baddies, Bad Boys, whatever. The boy version. I think he's on there.
Okay.
Anyways,
Orlando's not looking great in the video.
not.
He unfortunately, and we think that he made this video in response to maybe this sentiment online surrounding Raven and Miranda, and he's kind of jumping in. He's catching up, and it's like, yeah, I'm riding this train too. Raven, you got to get rid of her.
I did see recently on their podcast, Raven and Miranda had Kyle Massey on. Kyle Massey played Corey.
Yes.
Raven's little brother on
Yes.
That's So Raven.
Okay.
And they did briefly touch on Orlando
They did.
with Corey or
Okay.
Kyle Massey. And they're just like kind of poking fun lightly, like, oh, do you believe him when he said this thing on set? And they like laugh about it, reminisce about it, yada yada. I'm wondering if he saw that and like had thoughts and feelings and therefore made this in response.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And this was like, okay, he's going on and on saying, Raven, leave that chick. He also then started mocking Raven's style, and it got a little more mean and kind of malicious, which they clearly have like a friendship, but then I think Orlando might like take it too far, So anyways, Orlando then went on to say, pipe that down, Raven. You are not a man. You aren't even woman enough to be a woman, but you want to be a man. No, that girl got you doing podcasts. Started talking about Raven's queer relationship, which feels like, okay, that's not, I mean, none of this is called for or friendly or safe, but this is, really kind of mean.
Yeah, and I feel like he did the wrong thing. There's one thing of like stating your opinion or whatever, but then following it up with homophobia isn't really, no one's gonna be like, and he was right. Like, no, you just kind of even screwed yourself even more with being homophobic on top of it.
Like if we were with you, if people, because
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
people
yeah. A lot
do
of people.
feel like she shouldn't be with Miranda.
Right.
I want her to do whatever makes her happy.
Period.
But a lot of people feel like she shouldn't be with Miranda. If he had left it at that, I'm
Yep.
sure people would be like, and yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
As
But-
a girl with Raven on your
On
shirt
my
right now,
shirt
Sequoia,
right now.
your stance is do what makes you happy. If
Do
you've
what
been
makes you
married to
happy.
Miranda for 5 years, I trust that like you're making your own
I'm
decisions.
sure you're a grown woman. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure Miranda's make you happy then.
Yeah.
I thought it was also interesting. Raven appeared on the Jason Lee show and explained. She actually spoke openly about her relationship with Orlando Brown and said, quote, I have to be careful about what I say about Orlando because I'm going to keep it 100. This is a safe space. Orlando is very smart. His tongue quips are faster than mine, and I know that. He could come off the dome like that. He's been doing this since I know him. Then she kind of went on to say, before drugs, after drugs, before God, after God, he was a comedic genius, and he's still making people laugh. So she's kind of like complimenting him, right, by saying, Orlando's really smart. He's quick. He's witty. I got to be careful because anything that I say publicly about him, he might turn, and he's trying to get a laugh out of people online when he does this, but it can cause unnecessary drama.
I mean, that's all he knows how to do.
Yeah.
Is to get a laugh out of people. That's what
Yes.
he's been trained to do. He's
True.
been trained that this is how you get attention. This is how you get stardom. And he's been told that since he was a kid. I used to have a friend that was very similar, where quick, off the dome, would think he's putting me in my spot. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And those types of people, luckily he grew out of that later, but those types of people, I don't know, I just feel like just so bad for, because you're reaching for something,
I
usually
know.
attention.
Yeah.
Usually
know?
attention, and it's kind of, we're all looking for love, right? We're all looking
for
to like
someone to
give
care.
and receive love, for someone to care. And
Yeah.
when you, from a young age are trained, like make people laugh,
Yeah.
that is the way to get people to
Yeah.
love
No.
you. It's hard to retrain and lose
Yeah.
those patterns or change just the whole way you've been going about your life.
That's so true. And people have speculated that Orlando is using some type of substance.
Yeah.
And when Annalise Vanderpool, who played Chelsea on That's So Raven, and Christy Carlson Romano had a podcast. My girl, who allegedly I bring up all the time. I don't know. She played Kim Possible and Ren Stevens on Even Stevens.
Yes.
They have a podcast, or they did. I think it ended recently.
Okay.
And they also talked about Orlando. And Annalise said Orlando has acted exactly how he acts now for the duration of time.
Really?
That doesn't
like
surprise
he's
me.
always been like
Stunted.
that. Right. They're like, he's always been like that. Like, people keep saying drugs. She's like, I can't confirm or deny, but I can say that he's always acted like that.
So he was just like dragging everybody on set.
They said
Seems
the
like
only
it.
reason is like Raven was his boss, and so he couldn't, like
Okay.
drag the fuck out of her. But like,
Didn't Orlando come online? This was like at least 5 years ago, maybe 5 to 10, and talk about like him and Raven hooking up on set and stuff.
Something like
He sure
that.
did.
Okay.
He made a bunch
He
of weird
sure
noises, and he was like, she was giving me skibbity blah 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 glop guap guap in the back.
See, that's the thing. I'm like,
So it's like, what is like? We don't know what's true with him.
yes. And this recent video, a great fucking sound.
Always.
Like how he's talking, I wish he was saying something maybe, I don't know, relevant.
Right.
Like against the heinous people that are doing heinous shit out in the world right now. We could name 1,000. Imagine that like going viral and people being like, whatever, heinous people, like, what you doing, girl? Like that would be perfect. But he's using this to talk down about a girl who was just trying to mind her own damn business.
Who clearly loves him because she speaks positively of him often.
Yeah.
Who he also seems to be fond of. He has a fucking
that's
tattoo.
That's it.
Right. Hello.
That's it.
So is that's probably it.
That's it.
That's
We're
actually probably
we're clocking that.
We're getting to the
Yes.
roots of
Yes.
it now.
And you're so right, Jazzmyne. He just needs a little bit of TikTok training.
Yeah.
And my man's blowing up.
Yeah.
Get him a verified badge. He
Yeah.
can, and then starts, and someone who's looking for attention and
Yeah.
likes and comments. TikTok loves when you post 100 times
I
a day.
know.
Right.
Go at it, Orlando.
Right.
Let him
Have
go
your
off.
damn-
Just talk about the correct
True.
topics.
If it was
Right.
like commentary on society, like
Yeah.
funny, like short audio
Yeah.
bits about, then he could be a huge success.
Right.
We need to get in there, brand this man.
Right. He needs media training.
Yeah, and therapy.
And
but-
I'm sure, and I'm sure they've tried to get him both over the
I'm
years.
sure.
And I'm sure he has said no to both consistently over the years. That's what he's giving, anyways.
Yeah.
I don't really know. All right, we're gonna take a quick break, but don't change the channel. We'll be right back with FYP Friday after this short break.
And it's time for FYP Friday.
Oh my God. Have you seen this TikTok?
Yes. Okay. I can pop it off.
Yeah, this is a fun segment, Jazzmyne, where
Yeah.
we talk about just things that are coming up on our For You page that we want to take to the round table.
Right. So I saw a prompt, and there's been like a lot of these prompts going around my FYP, but this one says, tell me the most unhinged sensory issue you have.
Oh.
I'm not talking about I hate socks, something worse. For me, I do want to hear if y'all can think on it and tell me about like some issues that y'all have.
Okay.
For me, the bottom of a shoe pisses me off so deeply that it doesn't make sense. Like if a shoe is flipped over and I
And you see the
accidentally
bottom.
accidentally step
touching.
on the bottom of that fucking shoe, I feel like crawling out of my skin, crawling into a grave and dying right there.
Sorry, if another shoe that you're not wearing is on the floor.
I'm not, and
and
this
it's
is only if I
flipped
don't have on
upside down?
shoes. If I am barefoot,
Okay.
and I step on the bottom of a shoe,
with your bare foot.
This is so
my
specific.
day's ruined. Yes, I'm like, my day is ruined. Why would that shoe be upside down? Why would I be barefoot stepping on it? I
Okay.
hate it.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think I've ever stepped on a shoe barefoot. for
You
some
had
reason.
to have you.
You think?
It just did not register because
just
you don't
didn't
have
register?
this issue.
And it's because it's like dusty
It's
and like
just
the
fucking
material.
disgusting.
Okay, and-
Imagine the bottom of a shoe. Like now I've stepped on it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hate it. I
Yeah.
hate it.
I can't believe you said you wanted to die. If that happened.
It makes me want to crawl into a grave. Yes.
I didn't realize you were going to be that specific with that, and I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Me and Jasmine are staring
You
at
don't
each
have
other
to be
like,
that specific.
do you have any sensory things?
Yes.
Okay,
and
please.
I also have,
maybe you'll inspire me.
I do have OCD with a little bit of like contamination OCD.
Oh,
So I
okay.
get a lot of these very often.
Okay.
My biggest one I would say is I have a really hard time with like junk drawers
Okay.
in general.
Yes.
And I make them. I make them. It could be my stuff. I can tell you where it's been. If it has sat in a drawer for over a year, I have to like put on gloves and a mask and like pick things out.
Wow.
I can't touch that stuff.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. Well, I do. It's somewhere in here. But I really can't mess with that.
Now, what if it's like one single thing that has just sat in a drawer for over a year?
Yeah, no.
Okay, so even if it's not like a bunch of stuff,
No.
even if it's just one, if it's been in there too long,
Going
stressful.
thrifting.
I don't like thrifting either.
It really,
Oh, you guys don't like
I
thrifting?
could watch you clean the thing in front of me because it's touched different air.
Uh-huh.
It creeps me out. And thankfully, it only goes so far because I'm not like that when like grocery shopping or
Nice.
stuff like that, because that would, and I don't need to think about it past that.
Right.
But yeah, it messes me up.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you guys are not gonna like when I tell you this.
Hilarious. I'm ready. I also I don't like thrifting because the stress of looking through a whole bunch of shit.
Also
That's
that.
my thing.
Also that.
There have been many times that I've thrifted clothes and haven't washed them.
No.
And you've put them on your body?
Yeah.
Anytime I've thrifted, I've done that.
Okay.
To be fair, if I have thrifted, I assume that it was clean when I got it off the rack. I
Okay.
don't know.
So your problem with thrifting is not Jasmine's.
No,
problem.
mine is that I am lazy
That
and
you're
like having to
lazy.
get through all that shit
Cool.
overwhelms me.
Cool. Okay.
I could puke.
Yeah, I know. When you said different air, I was like, baby.
You're putting on
I'm
different
putting
odors.
on Doja Cat's musty fan shirt. Like,
Wow,
right then and there. and being like,
Period.
yeah, germs. I'm trying to think of if there's something in particular. I always, I would never wash my face, and this kind of stems from I think like having acne growing up and maybe being a little more insecure than I needed to about it. I would never, ever, ever do my skincare or makeup if I hadn't freshly washed my hands. Like if I do my hair and it has hair product on it, I am going and like scrubbing my hands to make sure my hands are very clean when I'm gonna touch my face.
That totally makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Though. Have you ever noticed that if you're
and
like
it stems from a funny like an insecure. It's not really necessarily germaphobe stuff.
Got
it
it.
stems from like having acne and being insecure about it as a kid. I think.
No, that makes sense because when your hands are dirty and you do like lather on the skincare product that you're gonna do, it doesn't lather correctly in your hands because your hands are fucking dirty.
And it makes me
so
think,
it like cleans your hands first, and then so that makes sense
But
to me.
that's the only like clean thing I do though.
Yeah. And mind you, I'm over here freaking out touching junk, and I don't wash my brushes for months, and I just put that shit on my face.
Well, that's
So,
real too.
yeah,
The makeup brushes. Yeah, that's
It's
a hard
so
one.
interesting what we choose to be specific
right?
about.
Like we choose some things that we're like, I'd never do that.
Yep.
Meanwhile, I'm like picking shit off the
Yep,
ground.
yep.
Yeah.
Earlier, Fiona was biting into cheese. Directly
yes.
biting into string cheese, just chomping down, not stringing it, just chomping down on it.
Not stringing
And
it.
she was like, because my hands are dirty, I don't want to touch it. I'm like, that makes sense. And then she puts the string cheese on the fucking table in front
And
of
it's
us.
covered in lip
I'm like,
gloss.
interesting.
Yeah, exactly. With the things don't need to add up.
It doesn't have to,
We
not for us.
are complex female characters.
Hello.
Just like a Carrie V.
Just
Period.
like
a
Carrie
Issa
B.
Rae.
Hello.
Okay, something on my For You page. I have two different things that if we need some subjects to talk about. But one is I've been seeing some commentary on the difference between a situationship and a slow burn
What?
in relationships.
Okay.
Jasmine's like,
I don't have a clue.
Yeah, the difference between a
A situationship and a slow burn.
What's
And
a
like
slow burn?
slow burn it's actually a term that a lot of people on Love Island are
yes.
using
That's why
right
I'm
now.
not tapped in.
Right.
Damn it.
And I think it's just being like hyper kind of utilized right now because of Love Island. But essentially it means like it takes a little while to get to know me. It takes a little while for me to want to get physical with you, which is good because I think it's kind of, the opposite of the casual hookup culture that we've been a part of for the past decade with dating apps and social media and all these things. So now there's a new term entering the dating stratosphere of slow burn.
Okay.
Right.
And I'm curious, you guys both have partners. Were either of you kind of introduced to this person and it did take a few weeks or months for you to kind of like want to go out with this person, be physical with this person, get serious with this person? And I guess my question is for how do you decipher, like, this is taking too long? There should be more of an instant connection. This isn't going to last. This is just a situation shit.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I can see where that can get confusing. My relationship, when it started with my partner, the slowest burn ever.
Really?
Yes, the slowest. And that's how I knew I should be with them. Because I'm usually really quick to fall in love. Like, literally.
Because you're
in
a
love.
Libra, right?
I'm about to say,
Yes,
she's a Libra.
Yes.
Why are
Really?
Libras are so like that?
We just want to be alone.
The Libras ruled by Venus, they love love.
Yes. So I'm so quick with that. Then 2 weeks later, realizing like, what the fuck am I doing? When I started dating my partner, it was like, I could see you again. I couldn't. We'll be okay. Cool. And then we started dating in October. We didn't officially started being like together until March.
Okay.
We waited a while, more than I would normally wait, even to like kiss. We didn't go on we went on like 4 dates or so. Like
Nice.
I was not about it.
So sometimes the slow burn is actually a good sign.
It was for
versus
me.
You don't always need this instant love at first sight,
Yeah.
Right,
palpable passion.
That's so real. Yeah. I do think that that's like fun to have, but it is not a necessary thing. Yeah.
It doesn't always mean sustainability.
At all. In fact, often it means that it's not sustainable and it's going to fizzle out really quickly.
Yeah.
And that turns to more situationship vibes if you kind of go into it too quick.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah.
Without
Yes.
really getting to know this person.
Yeah.
Then
Yes.
sometimes you find yourself in a physical relationship with someone and you're like, but what are we doing? Do we even
Yeah.
want this?
Yeah.
And that's where things get really confusing.
I think where people are getting confused is that a slow burn and a situationship both can feel kind of unfulfilling, especially at the beginning for a slow burn.
Yes.
Great
Especially
point.
if you're used to moving fast, but
Yeah.
like it feels like a slow burn actually means that you're not having
Because
a
you
situationship.
want to be like, I want to be head over heels, love at first sight. And it's
Exactly.
like, that's not all there is in the world.
Right. Exactly.
You know?
Okay,
Yeah.
so long story short, the advice we're giving here from my For You page is be patient.
Yeah. Give it a sec.
You know, they're like, yeah. I'm like, I need advice from both of you.
Just give it a sec for sure.
See how you actually feel.
Yes.
Right.
See how your nervous system being calm doesn't mean that you don't like the
Yeah.
person.
I know, and I guess maybe because we have the internet and we're constantly like searching for dopamine and serotonin, and we're on this like
Yep.
crazy ride of
So
emotions.
real.
We're watching about current events, and then it's like, oh, funny bunny video, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
That we don't recognize that as a good sign.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so happy that you guys were here to coach me through this.
Hell yeah.
Jazzmyne, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
That is it for today's episode. Follow Jazzmyne at Jazzmyne Jay and follow us, The Daily Dirty. Tune in on Monday as we get down and dirty in the weeds of the biggest stories in pop culture. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.